Hello, evening, welcome. David Frost, it was David Frost used to say that, wasn't it? Hello, good evening, and welcome, and all of that, John. I'm showing my age badly there, but anyway, yeah, hope you're all well. Welcome to another Irish Whisky review with me, Marty Macaulay. Not doing Irish again tonight, we've moved off. Remember, doing the wee miniatures that we picked up along the way? Well, I thought I noticed something floating in that there, just remembered it. This is a little miniature I picked up a few years ago, I think, at an auction. Neck fill levels down a little bit. Miniatures, this happens quite a lot. This is, focus, Glen Scotia. A little Glen Scotia from just across the water over in Campbeltown. 5-year-old from the 1970s, I believe. So this is about the same age as myself. So this was bottled 40 years ago. Now, I'm not sure when in the 1970s. For all I know, this could have been distilled in the 60s. When everyone was in flared trousers, mop tops and beehives and all that kind of stuff. Pick these up, guys. They're pretty cheap. There was a miniature sold recently for £6,500 £1,000. So don't be picking that up cheap. But loads of these about. There's lots of them, and they're well worth doing because they're experimental for yourself. And these are dead cheap. I think this was like £9. So if you're wanting to do a whiskey journey or a whiskey experience for yourself, and compare and contrast and have a little drink and educate yourself, or not educate yourself, just have something of a bit of fun. Pick yourself up some of these, because there's plenty of them about, and they're not hard to find. You can quite often, as I say, get them for a few quid, and it's just a different taste experience, something for you to try, and it's nice to have something that you can look back at and say, oh, I had one of those, or I had a Glen Scotia from the 70s, and I tried it against one that I bought, or I was in a bar, I've seen Glen Scotia and I bought it, and I thought, oh no, that's not as nice, or it's better quality, you know, that kind of thing. It's just about giving yourself that bit of experience. Now, there's no ABV on this, but I'm going to say it's probably 40%. It's 5-year-old, has the quintessential little, what do you call them? Highlander with a gun over his shoulder, ready to go to war with a Sassenachs or something. Yeah, malt whiskey, Campbeltown, Argyll, established 1835. Right, again, showing my age badly. Yeah, anyway. So I picked these up. It's quite sharp. Quite a bit of pepper there, white pepper. Quite sharp, white pepper, citrus, lemon rind, and hard biscuits, oat cakes, digestives, that biscuity, there's a biscuity note to it. Yeah, it's quite sharp. 5-year-old, quite young. Thin too, quite thin. Glen Scotia has a note that I don't get with any other distillery. It's a very saline note, very salty, like fresh fish, salty, saline, that kind of note. Which that note, I can pick it out, that develops through into an actual sort of vanilla sweetness. And it's that note, it goes on a journey the whole way through. On the finish, it's changing over. But whatever way that signature note, I sometimes, not all Glen Scotias, because obviously the cask finishes can negate or change a whisky character, but that inherent character that comes off Glen Scotia, I don't get of anything else. It's saline, salty, fishy, and not unpleasant. I'm not saying it's unpleasant. It's a nice salted fish note that comes all the way through and sweetens. It ends up sweetening away at the back. Yeah, this is quite thin. Some of the other Campbeltowns would be a bit richer and a bit creamier. Again, citrus. Again, biscuit. Biscuit woody. That sometimes when you're doing these and you're getting slightly different notes that are in the same ballpark, they're in the same area, so you're saying the same thing. It's kind of hard to be specific on a note, on a flavour, on a taste, on a smell. So you're basically just dancing around it, because it's probably all of those, but just how you perceive it in each different instance is different. So you tend to do various things. So that woody, nutty, biscuity note, they're not far apart. So it depends just on how you've perceived it on each flavouring, each tasting, each experience you have with that drink. I really like that. And I like Glen Scotia. A little bit of heat, a pepperiness just carries on through. Again, that salty saline that lifts quite quickly and sweetens really quickly. And it's funny, it's that development of it. It's not being replaced by anything. It's not like that note happens and then it's superseded. There's a continuity the whole way through. It's got a really nice flavour to it. It's not my favourite Glen Scotia by a long chalk. And there is this always this tendency for people to hark back to, the old days were the best, the old days were the greatest. A lot of the time they weren't, let's be honest. There was very little quality control way back when. Hard to standardise a lot of stuff. It wasn't the same stringency with product that we have now. In some instances, absolutely, it's nowhere near. It's not the same quality. Maybe the barley's not up to the same scratch. In other instances, it's been detrimental. Sometimes it's much beneficial. It just is what it is, depending on how and why the process has come about. This, I would say, it's not as good as some of the good Glen Scotias about at the minute. It's very pleasant. It's got a nice level of complexity. A couple of things quite different about it, but really not as nice as some of the Glen Scotias that I've tried in my day. But it's the essential character of Glen Scotia is still there, and you get that character coming through. Again, with Glen Scotia, that saline note is kind of typical of it. It does have that, but it's not in your face. It's not big punchy saline medicinal notes that you'd get from the likes of your Talisker or something like that. It's much more subtle than that. It's fresh fish, salty, as opposed to salt or salt water. and then that's why it's able to develop and move on. Now, again, that citrusy is maybe a little bit more grapefruit now. Remember, this has been stuck in this bottle for 4 decades, maybe a little bit more. At least 4 decades. So, yeah, it's allowed a little bit of playing about and dancing about and changing. But do pick these up, guys. Do have a look for miniatures. It's worth doing. Simply because it's a lot of the time it's affordable to pick up stuff that you couldn't really afford to buy a full-size bottle. Or if you could, they might be quite hard to find or whatever. So these are well worth picking up. So yeah, give it a little bit of a mark. I'll give it a reasonable 6.5 out of 10, but well worth paying 10 quid for and having a little bit of an experience. Yeah, quite nice, but not as good as some of the stuff that you get from Glen Scotia these days. So, as Del Boy in Only Fools with Horses would say, bonjour, and enjoy. I shall talk to you again soon. The reason I said Only Fools and Horses is Only Fools and Horses is 40 years old this year. 40 years old. And it's still as fresh as paint. It's still the funniest programme ever made. So yeah, 40 years old. This is 40 years old too. So there we go. Take care and talk to you again soon. Thank you.